wrapping things up slowly but surely by having a very robust and fascinating conversation over the next little while around, the youth and the potential that young people have, specifically within the African continent. Let me say, we are meant to, on paper, answer two potential questions, which are, what does the future look like? And secondly, can young people transform Africa? I think rather I'm going to focus on what does the future look like, because I will say without a doubt, yes, young people can transform Africa. And just judging by the power panel that is about to join me and just their credentials, you'll be able to see why. So I just want to make sure that all of the panelists are online. I see just some of them here. I think they are slowly getting in. Oh, there we go. They all are. Awesome. So please just unmute yourselves and also turn your video on to the panelists as I introduce you. We'll start off with Christine Katale. Hey, Christine, how are you?
Hi, how are you, Sia?
Fantastic, thank you. Please just introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay, my name is Christine Kitale. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm in the fintech space, being the Business Development Director in PesaSwap East Africa. I'm passionate about Africa, the youth, and technology, and I'm really happy to be here to network with the other panelists and anyone else who is watching.
Fantastic. And then we also have Lee. Lee, please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. My name is Lee Masuka. I'm based in Harare, Zimbabwe. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Click and Pay Africa, a technology company that is focusing on digital payment systems. Of late, we've also focused on blockchain technology, including artificial intelligence tools.
Fantastic. Next up, we have Ononuju. Ononuju, how are you?
I'm well, see, it's a pleasure to talk to you again. Hi, everyone. My name is Ononuju. But you can call me Uju, and I work with African Union Commission, the youth division specifically, and we lead innovation and partnerships on the continent with emphasis on youth and youth integration, and I hope to have an amazing conversation. Overseer, thank you.
And then last but definitely not least, we have Audu, pardon me, Audu.
So, Sia, we spent almost 4 hours fixing my name.
I know. I have notes and notes and notes based on phonetics of Audu.
But yeah, but thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having me. My name is Audu Mekori. I'm from Nigeria. I do basically three things. I'm a legal practitioner with a focus on entertainment and media law. I also work in, let's just say that I've failed in many businesses, so I'm a serial entrepreneur. And the last part is I'm a social activist. I'm very passionate about change, and I think that young people have the opportunity and the power to change things. And lastly, last but not least, I'm a hardcore feminist. So just to put that out. Thank you.
Power to that, power to that. So before we get into the topic around what does the future look like, I want to just get a general understanding of where you think we are right now. So starting off with you, Christine, the past couple of months we know have been crazy for the whole entire world. And then we also understand the fact that Africa has so many exciting opportunities and possibilities and so much innovation and development. If you almost had to grade or assess the state of Africa right now, the challenges, the greatness that it has, the opportunities it has, give us your state of Africa today.
Africa today has a lot of potential. I'd give us a ranking of 5 out of 10 because as much as we have all these innovations out there in place, not all of us have access to them. We understand the disparities that exist in Africa, whereby resources are not equally accessible to people of all walks of life. So there's usually a really big gap, and that transforms also to technology and the digital currency topic we're talking about. So we as the youth must take this initiative to try bridge that gap to make it smaller. And unfortunately, I think this gap will also try to bridge the poverty gap we have in Africa, which is our main challenge right now. But other than that, I'm quite optimistic because we are generally a young population. So we have the how do I put it? We have the capability of transforming Africa to the next level. What we need to focus on is number one, skills development. Number two, collaboration. Number three, growth of commerce within ourselves. Once we tackle these three, and of course the core one within education and our skills, I think Africa will have something competitive to offer the world.
Awesome. Lee, bridging off on what Christine has said, what do you think are some of the wide gaps that we need to shorten and work on in Africa? Could it be as well, particularly for this panel, including more young people? Is it developing more people in general and giving them more skills? What are some of the gaps you think need to be bridged?
Yeah, so if you look at Africa's population, we're looking at, I think about 75% possibly are below 35 years old. So if you also look at the economic structure that we have here, we have had our own challenges in Africa. But to me, when I see these challenges, they are actually opportunities. Because we as youths, what we must remember is that for you to come up with a solution, you must solve an existing problem. So the more problems we have in Africa, the more opportunities we have. And looking at 75% being youths, then that must give us even confidence. I know, yes, that a lot of people are looking at maybe changing the type of education that we've had over the years, possibly which was oriented towards getting employment. But I think in as much as that is important, we as youths, we need to really start looking at the situation that is surrounding us. You see that Africa is full of resources. We do have mining. In our case, for example, Zimbabwe, we do have agriculture. So now, we as youth, again, we are more tech savvy than the older generation. So we must then use this technology to create a platform where we can utilize these resources to the fullest. We can optimize, we can reduce our operational costs, we can create more markets, we can solve the problems of hunger, we can solve the problems of conflicts that we have. So we as young people, in as much as we do have these problems, I think it's an opportunity for us to actually create solutions.
Ononuju, I want to tie in a lot of what has been discussed today. You know, we've been talking about CBDC and we've been talking about a lot in terms of digital currencies and great innovation and great fintech innovation as well. But what do you think are the obvious barrier to entries for young people when it comes to being included in spaces and industries like this?
Thank you, Sia. I think I'll just put it in 4 key points. One is around knowledge. So by knowledge, we mean information. How are young people able to maximize existing information and use that to their benefit to leverage on opportunities like this? And I'm just going to tie that back to the CFTA, which is the Continental Free Trade Area, for example. It creates an opportunity for an integrated market for intra-African trade. There are 55 member states in Africa, and that is a world of opportunity. And looking at issues of financial inclusion on the continent, we see that a huge population of the continent are still unbanked. And that shows you the gap that exists, but not just the gap, but the opportunity that we also have, you know, to transform the continent. Now, the next thing we can begin to look at is what capacities exist. Do we have the capacities to maximize this? Do we have the know-how? So you see that the fintech industry is growing, is expanding on the continent, but it's still not enough to meet the gap that exists. So how do we ensure that young people have the relevant capacity? And capacity keeps being a barrier. You look around, you see innovations that have the ability to scale, but are still limited. And there's infrastructure. Infrastructure is such a big challenge, from connectivity to technology to policies, even to legal frameworks that we have on the continent. These constantly hold young innovators, young people in fintech, even CBDC itself. And then financing. How much investments are we putting into the industry? How much money are governments investing? So African member states contributed or agreed to contribute 1% of the GDP to R&D. Are we seeing that? Is that the reality? Is that the case? You know, and until we tackle these 4 key elements, which take us from policy to implementation to infrastructure, and all of these things come together into one, it would be quite difficult for us.
Right. Audu, I saw you nodding along there. Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, let me just kind of also take from what everyone has said. I think Africa's biggest opportunity is the youth. It is the biggest resource that they have. I mean, that's obvious. Everybody knows that. I think the problem has been, how do you harness those potentials? People say it's unemployment. I mean, the numbers mean unemployment, but we need to be careful, because Africa in the next 20, 30 years will be probably the biggest population in the world. Nigeria, for instance, is 200 plus people, and it's looking like 400 million people in the next 30 years. And so you can multiply that across the continent. So the question really is, and if you look at the population curve, I mean, the age curve rather, we have almost a perfect, you know, the perfect sort of graph. The problem that we're having is now, how do we harness that? I do agree with Lee that the problem has been, and it needs to be a mind shift, mind change, and even a policy change, which is why I guess we're talking about the global policy conversation in the first place, which is this: what kind of education are we giving our kids? The youth, what kind of, I mean, are they going to be stuck with these fancy degrees that mean nothing in the real world today? Or are they going to
what type of education do you think we're giving?
What?
What type of education do you think we're currently giving?
Yeah, so yeah, the education, the only education is entrepreneurship. It is about being solvers. And I think that's what you were saying. Look, where there's a problem, there's an opportunity to solve the problem. Someone will pay you for that solution. So let African youth be focused on solving problems, not just about getting fancy degrees that mean nothing in life. It's saying, look, where are the plumbers? Where are the electricians? Can we be the best auto manufacturing setups in Africa? Can we be the place where you put all these clothes that we make, that we import from China and all these things? That is what we need to be, entrepreneurial, and not just about having education and saying I'm doctor or professor such and such with nothing to feed you. Last point I also want to make is that one of the people that we work with, I won't name his name, but he works with one of the talents that's under my management. And he said to me, he's one of the best sound engineers on the continent. So we fly him around the world when our guy is performing. So I spoke to him a few weeks ago and I said, you know what, I'm retraining to be an electrician. I said, what? I said, yes, because there's no money coming from that business today. So the question we have to ask Africans is that, are the things, the education we have relevant in today's world? If they're not, then we need to change everything.
Christine, so in a tangible way and in a practical way, you speak about skills development. How are you going about that, or passionate about some plans that are aiding and solving some of the things that Audu has brought up?
Okay, I'm passionate about skills development because having worked in the technology space, I see the gap every day. Like every time I want to work with programmers from our homeland, it's a challenge. Always have to outsource from somewhere in Asia or Europe. And that breaks my heart. Then trying to work with the developer community here, I find our culture so scared. Like people tend to stick more to what they know, and that all pertains to the education system we've had. I feel our education system is very intimidating. It does not allow people to be creative. And that goes along also within the workspaces and the work cultures we have. Take, for instance, any youth that's been employed today. even the guts to have to apply for a managerial position or to give his views in the office, it's almost, he's definitely more likely not to go with that option because they're not empowered or given the opportunity to do so. So that's just not just in our education system, even when you translate to policy, to public participation forums that are supposed to shape our future, or even when people are shaping policies affecting us as the youth, how often do we get a seat to talk our issues and our beliefs? So the segregation we face is really detrimental to us and to our future and to our children. And I feel the innovation should not just be limited to the degree level. We should start with our kids from preschool. Let's introduce systems that encourage people to think, to innovate, to be creative. And not just that, let's give our children that confidence to want to do that. Because when you look at Africans who go study abroad, other than Nigerians that I find very confident, on a light note though, yeah, I feel that other African students are usually more intimidated to like speak up in class, ask questions, interact freely. And it all has to do with our education system and our culture here. So once we change all that, and it's all a mindset thing, and if we involve more of us on the youth to contribute to the policies and the structures that affect this, I feel it'll have an impact on our skills. And another thing that can have an impact on our skills is collaboration. How can we as Africans collaborate among each other, especially we as the youth, particularly within the commerce and the development space and the technology space? Do we have bodies and platforms that facilitate for this, more in exchanging of ideas and information, passing on skills and knowledge to each other? Do we have that good platform, or are we all on Twitter just looking at fashion trends and all? Maybe if we had that, it would actually make a change.
Right. Lee, this might be an unfair question to ask you, but you do business in several countries on the continent. How do you suppose or propose young people start thinking in terms of, as has been said this afternoon, thinking in terms of the opportunities that are in front of them as opposed to problems that are in front of them?
Okay, yeah. So if you look at our approach when we go out there, is you have to have a clearly defined problem statement. And when you go to the market, I know that most of the time, we as youths, we are underfunded. And sometimes when you go out there to present an idea, they look at you, they look at your background, and then they try to also look at your education. Well, of course, I'm educated. I myself, I do have a master's now, but I wouldn't really want to be considered competent simply because I do have these qualifications. When I go out there, if I present a solution, I must do it confidently. I must be able to clearly solve a problem. And I also expect the market to sort of like regard the youth when they go out there. But I don't know, maybe we're gonna get a chance of maybe explaining the challenges that we do have when we go out there, especially issues to do with the regulations. And also maybe policies. Somebody mentioned issues to do with policies. But whenever you come up with an idea, somebody wants to ask, is it ISO certified? Yes, it is important to actually have sets of standards in terms of when you're implementing a solution. But I think when a youth come up with a problem, with a solution, we must say, okay, look, the idea is very good. The solution is good. What we need to do now as a government or as a body or as a regulator, let's assist you in meeting you whatever criteria are there, other than maybe having to go out there and import a solution from another continent. So that sort of confidence that we use when we go out to Botswana, when we go out to Zambia, has helped us to say, okay, look, we understand that there are things that might not be perfect in as much as our solution is concerned. But it is also important, Sia, to say, whenever you are going out, especially when you're going to another country, normally they would need to look at what have you done before. So you also present that that symbol to say, okay, we do have this list of issues that we've solved before. This is a new technology that we think can also help us in this and that. So the issue of approach when you're going out is there's no one answer. So I think it's quite a difficult question. Yeah, you know.
No, that's exactly why I did say it was slightly unfair, but I'm thankful for your answer. Ononuju, you have a lot of experience and a keen eye in terms of trade. And trade is a big topic right now on the continent. Perhaps that lends to what Christine was talking about when she mentioned collaboration. How do you think trade can aid us in moving forward, particularly in terms of young people moving forward and moving forward together?
Thank you, Sia. So the interesting thing about trade is that beyond just member states interacting, trade is a door that opens to a world of other opportunities. And I'm glad that Lee mentioned moving from one country to the other. In terms of for young people, we see that skills portability is very important. So I take my skills, I take my experience, I take my technology, I take my business from Kenya, and I go all the way to N'Djamena in Chad. And I'm able to move across the continent. I'm able to move from Mombasa to Cairo to Marrakesh. And this is aided by trade agreements. And moving from bilateral or regional agreements that exist between countries or in regional economic communities, we see the CFTA bringing all of this together under one umbrella. And young people are able to move, are able to take their experiences, are able to take their technology from one part of the continent to the other. And this skills portability, we talk about it a lot, but when we look at the CFTA as an instrument, it brings us to the realization that this is possible. And I like the fact that Christine was making reference to young people, not being recognized and their contributions not being recognized. And when we are at the table, we're not considered. We even as a commission begin to look beyond that to say, listen, this is not about tokenizing young people. They have the capacity to make substantial contributions. And I think COVID-19 has proven that to us clearly, that across the continent, young people are innovating, young people are creating change, young people are doing things that are moving the continent to the next step. But we see that, and somebody can sit down in Dakar, develop something, and it stays in Dakar.
Yeah.
And as a result of policies maybe in Nigeria or in Kenya, this young person is not able to scale and is not able to, ensure that that innovation thrives. Right. But with the CFTA and with intertrade, we're able to conduct businesses between ourselves. We're able to, as Africans, trade with Africa and trade as Africans, as one another. And young people will be the biggest beneficiaries beyond just governments.
Absolutely.
Because I'm able to take my innovation from Lesotho and I go all the way to Marrakesh and I meet partners and I meet other young people who are able to collaborate. And somebody mentioned collaboration and partnerships. This is very important for us. As a people, this is very important for us. And that is why I'm encouraging as many young people as possible. Let's hold our governments to account as well. and say you've agreed to the Continental Trade Agreement. We
So-
are interested.
Awesome. So just before we start taking questions from the audience, please feel free, if you're watching and you have something that you'd like to ask the panel or share with the panel, you can send us a message on the chat feature here on Zoom. But I first want to go to you, Audu. So we have been speaking about trade and innovation and all of these great things that can happen because of technology in the fintech space. But let's now answer the question. In your perspective, what does the future look like for a young person in Africa today?
From our perspective, that could be like 7 hours of conversation, because it's so broad. From an innovation perspective, are you talking about what angle are you talking about specifically?
Let's keep it to innovation and fintech and digital currencies. Let's
Okay.
there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to note that the great thing about technology is just that young people are natural uptakers of that. It's natural. It comes naturally to them. Give a kid who's 3 years old, he will open your phone, figure out the password, and start doing stuff on the phone. One of the things that we've been involved in Unanimous Games is actually teaching kids coding. We did a program with the government of Barbados last year. It's called the Caribbean Girls Hackathon. And what we did was basically teach the girls basic things around gaming. And obviously every adult has a mobile game on their phone, right? You play something, Candy Crush, there's something you must play when you're bored, right? And the idea is that those games alone is business, because someone created those games. You're downloading those games and someone is paying for them. And so the next millionaires are people who can code, who can play around. Think about the jobs of the future. The jobs of the future are no longer 79,000 troops flying into Sudan and killing all the people that they can find from Uju's village. It is now about somebody sitting with a joystick in his apartment and droning, right? Putting up a drone and it attacks. So you find that even with that, the future of work has substantially shifted. It's no longer about the brick and mortar, it's all just about innovation-driven enterprises. What do we need to do? The future is bright. However, we need the leaders who can drive that kind of innovation. I have some really good friends in Rwanda, and I was talking to the chief tourism officer, who's a good friend of mine. And I happened to have been in Rwanda in January this year for a conference, and I was amazed. That was the second time I was going there. I was amazed about how clean they were. So I was asking after the whole COVID thing, and they said, look, they barely had 200 casualties from COVID. This 12 million people.
Wow.
At the time, they had no deaths from COVID. And that's simply because of the innovative leadership of President Kagame. He set young people in different places. And there's something she said, look, there's no impossible. There's nothing like impossible. There is a way out, we just need to figure it out. And I think that is a message across board, whether you're in the private sector or the public sector. There is a way that we can harness these bright young people who are passionate, who are innovative. And like Christine said, once Africans go abroad and they have the enabling environment, they become geniuses, right? There's so many things that Black people have done and have disrupted the world that they don't get the attribution for, but they did so. The difference was the enabling environment. So what is the future? The future is this: better leadership that's focused on creating problem solvers and not problem generators. The future is teaching our kids right now. Don't send them away from the mobile phone. Teach them how to code. Let them create their own version of the mobile phone. I keep boasting and talking about M-Pesa. We know about M-Pesa. I don't think we've used M-Pesa smartly. I think M-Pesa should be an African currency. I think it should be an African platform. The same way every American uses Apple and iOS, M-Pesa should be our financial system, right? Because I can pay for a cow and I can pay for a house from my phone. It's faster than, it's not quite mobile money, it's the next level, you know?
Yeah, I see Christine is nodding along with you. So Christine, you agree?
Yeah.
What does the future look like in your opinion?
The future, the way, in my opinion, what I would want it to look like, I would want a how do I put it, a standardized form of trade across Africa. If we have as Africans, as Audu is putting it, embrace one digital solution and call it ours and make it ours and everyone uses it, it'll be so nice for the merchants. Because as I sit in Tunisia or Lesotho, and I can buy something from Nigeria. I think that would be the most beautiful thing, other than the way we keep importing things from Amazon or eBay. Why can't we have something unique and for African merchants, whereby as an African merchant in Nigeria, I can trade across all countries in Africa, and I can feel the African support, and our products can be ours, our money can be exchanged within ourselves, and our modes of trade can be the same. I think that would be the most beautiful thing.
Lee, if we were to carry on in this trajectory, what does the future look like in your opinion?
Yeah, the future is bright. We do have our own challenges, but it's bright. I would look at it from this way, especially in terms of digital technology. If you look at countries that are already developed, they do have systems that are quite difficult, legacy systems that are quite difficult to upgrade or to remove because they may become obsolete, which is a huge cost. But here we do have a fertile ground for actually putting on solutions. I mean, new solutions can be put in Africa, especially in terms of digital payments. If you look at an example like he gave, he said M-Pesa in Zimbabwe, we do have what we call EcoCash. It's also across some other Southern African countries. So it works very well. We do have issues that we need to solve in terms of financial inclusion. This is the time where youths, we do have an opportunity to create apps that can actually solve those problems. Christine mentioned something to do with maybe one system, digital platform where people can trade. I would partially disagree with her because obviously we need to make sure that each and every country, we do have a lot of talented people, talented youths, startups. So maybe what we need to do is, in other terms, create something that is interoperable between the countries, something that can communicate with each other. I think someone mentioned things to do with, it's here again, yeah, she mentioned something to do with free trade area. So if you look at it, technology is an enabler to that issue. So we must be able to take up that and have solutions. The future is bright.
Awesome. Ononoju, in your perspective, what does the future look like?
Thank you. See, I'll just pick up from where Lee left it. The future is very bright. And if you let me just share a very quick statistic. I was looking at a report recently by UNAIDS that ranked innovations in COVID. And it's interesting to see that Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa were ranked amongst the top 32 countries innovating globally in COVID. Exactly. And Lagos, Nairobi, Cape Town were amongst the top 80 cities in Kampala innovating. So what does that tell you? It tells you that young people and young Africans are doing things. And I like the fact that Lee mentioned interoperability. That is very correct, because we need a system that brings everything together and allows them to thrive. Although individual, it's what we call differentiated but collective responsibility. You know, although the systems are different, but there is something that binds them together. It's something that brings them together. And which is why I'm just going to take it up from there. He mentioned the CFTA. It would bind all of us together. It ensures that interoperability that we are looking for, and ensures that we are able to do more for ourselves. And these young people who are innovating are not just statistics, but are recognized and, you know, receive the credence and the support that they require.
Got you. So just in wrapping things up, I'd like to have the final word from each of the panelists. I'll start off with you, Audi. What is the final word that you'd like to leave the audience with this afternoon?
Yeah, so for me, I think, again, let me reiterate that the most important thing for us right now is to collaborate. There's never been a greater opportunity. And, you know, I used to think about an Africa that was connected by rail, air, and sea. Well, not sea, but just well connected so people can travel. But I find that the digital platforms are actually that connector. we can begin to do those things without looking for physical infrastructure, which would have taken years and billions of dollars, which we currently don't have. So I think, like they say, the new competition is now collaboration, and I'm open to collaborate. So I'd like to exchange numbers with you guys. And this time next year, I'll be announcing my multi-billion-dollar deal with
There we go.
Christine. Uju
Yay.
already has so much money.
Is this the time of the session where you pull an Oprah and you say, for everyone who's here, you get a share?
You get a car.
Oh, sorry. Maybe next year. Maybe next
I was
year.
about to say, don't forget us, please. I was about to say.
Absolutely. You get a share. You get a share.
Michelle and Sia, your money is already blockchain, so you guys are safe. Okay, so just forget about
that. I'll be selfish and say I don't care about everyone else. Then they can fight. Christine, last words from you.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe to the regulators, my word would be to say, okay, please, in as much as we need stringent restrictions in terms of applications and solutions and innovations, I think let's give the youth a chance. Let's look at what they are providing. Let's assist them through and through. To the government, let's support. I mean, the youth need funding. I mean, look at in other continents, they get funding from the government and other organizations. Let's fund them and let's incubate them. And to the youths, just have confidence to continue trying up things. I mean, and also, I think it's also important to note that there is a gap in terms of even knowledge and education between ourselves and those that normally hold the power. So when we are explaining our technology to them, let us be very clear. Let's not use those words like SHA-256, like cryptography. They don't understand that. Let's try to put it as simple as possible. And let's be very clear and understand the technology that we are offering. Otherwise, you find that when you're trying to explain blockchain to the Reserve Bank, they think that it's a pyramid scheme, it's a triple M, it's all those sort of things. So we need to be very clear and elaborate and give them confidence that this thing really works. And to the market, finally to the market, please adopt these fintech startups. Normally, we think that is the consumer who has got the problem, but those guys that do sell their products, they want to see a heap of money under their pillow so that they believe that they are rich. But you can have money that is in the bank. Digital currency is coming. Let's adopt it. That's my final word.
Christine, what about you? How do you, your last words this afternoon?
Okay, to the African youth, let's collaborate among each other. Let's form platforms for building each other, exchanging knowledge and ideas, and more importantly, skills. And also, let's form a platform that favors the merchants within Africa to get support and audience from Africa. And then to the regulators, please let's protect our young innovators. Let's give them platforms to thrive and to feel free to share their ideas and to scale. And to the financiers, especially Africans in the diaspora and African financiers or angel investors, please invest more in our youth and our businesses because getting access to funding is very hard. We have so many successful companies that say they got their funding from Silicon Valley. Please, as Africans, let's change this narrative. And again, to the AU people, and it's good they've confirmed this, they're lifting the trade barriers. But please make these barriers lifted to the scale of the lowest merchant possible. The low level and high level merchants, let everybody feel the impact and know their contribution towards this. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you, Christine. Ononuju, I'm going to finally just go to you, your final point, but also I want to throw in a question that has been asked by Chris, who asked, how can Africa pick a winner that explodes trade across? What collaborative trading platforms exist? You can answer that and also give us your final word.
Do you mind taking that question again, Sia?
Sure, Chris writes, how can Africa pick a winner that explodes trade across, I assume across the continent? What collaborative trading platforms exist?
Oh, okay, thank you. In terms of picking the winner, I think the playing field is open for everyone. And yes, we also have some countries championing the trade agreement. It's a level playing field. And the platform that brings all of this together remains the trade agreements, which is the CFTA, and allows all Africans, member states, governments, everybody, citizens, as Christine was talking about, to maximize the benefits of this. So it's a win-win situation for everybody, and it's an opportunity for all of Africa to grow and explode, if I would use that term. And my final word is, as young people, let us continue to innovate, and let us continue to explore, let us continue to maximize. Yes, there are challenges. Yes, we are the youngest population, but we are Africa's biggest capital. We are Africa's biggest investment. We're Africa's biggest, I'm trying to find the word that takes us to the world. We are the ones, we have the power, we are the future. And let's not stop innovating. Let's not stop maximizing. Let's not stop holding governments. Let's not stop holding stakeholders to account. Let's continue to maximize every resource that's available to us to continue to grow. And those are my final words.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you firstly to each of the panelists for being here and imparting such wisdom and sharing your perspective. So thank you so much, Christine, Lee, Ononuju, and Audu. We really appreciate your perspectives. A big, big kudos and thank you and congratulations goes out to the Global Policy House team. Michelle and your rock stars, you have done incredible work today. A big, big round of applause to you, absolutely. And thank you so much to the partners that have teamed up with you on something like this. The likes of Coins Extra and FinTech Association of Nigeria and the Africa Chamber of Digital Commerce. We know what it takes to put something like this together, and the fact that they've banded together because they believe in Africa and they believe in the change that can happen is really inspiring to see. The bottom line that I have taken from a day like this is, whether you like it or not, change is coming. And whether you like it or fear it, the best thing to do is to educate and empower yourself around it. So even if it's a buzz term like CBDC or what do I know about fintech, this is your time to do that, to learn, to grow, to empower yourself. There's no greater opportunity and moment to do that than right now. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an absolute honor to be a fly on the wall in some of these conversations today. My name is Sia Sangweni. Let's continue the conversation going on forward and enjoy the rest of your day. Over to you, Michelle. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much, Sia. This has just been absolutely phenomenal. So I'll start by firstly thanking you, Sia, for all the sessions you've chaired. I've had just so many comments and excitement by it. So I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for gracing us with your presence. As usual, you're fabulous. I don't know, I can't think of any other word. And then just to start with, I really want to thank all the partners, everybody who's helped. Some of the logos are not here, or people who have been helping us in the background. So we have some heroes really, and some pioneers in the background who you don't see the faces of, who are working very, very hard. We have people from all over the world actually who care about Africa. A lot, of course, is being driven by the Africans themselves, and we can see today that the conversation has been coming from the continent, and I think rightly so, because we do know what the issues are, and we know we have to take it into our hands, to drive a transformation and change, and to introduce innovation. And innovation is already happening on the continent, far, far, far more ahead than other places that I've been to, and I've been to many places. So the talent I see with young people in Africa, I mean, I just cannot emphasize how we need to leverage that. We need to build capacity. We need to invest in the right, so skills development programs. Yes, we might not be ready 100% now to go and introduce things like CBDC, But we need to plan ahead for things like that. We need to start thinking long term. We need to be strategic. We need to invest in our women. You heard our women today. My gosh, every time I think about them, I just smile, right? You know, we need to invest in our young girls. We need to invest in education and skilling up our people, because that is what is going to lead to the transformation. That is what's going to drive the CFTA. That is what's going to bring implementation of the CFTA and a whole range of other things. But, you know, so really, really enjoyed the whole day. I think a lot of people did. We've had lots of feedback. But just to highlight a little bit their partners, Coin News Extra, I really want to give some credit to, because they're busy in the background kind of shouting out about the stuff that we've done today, about trying to, you know, galvanize everybody from Nigeria to jump onto this. And they've really been, you know, helping us in terms of on the media side. So I really thank them for doing that. And of course, I want to remind everybody of the sponsor we had, you know, Guapcoin, Tavonia, who is in the United States. Again, she really highlighted the importance of sticking together, the importance of, you know, supporting women, and she's very passionate about that. So am I. And I think it's really nice to have a woman kind of back our initiative as well. You know, it's important that women support one another. So my call to all women around the world is we need to stand together. We need to support one another and start to, you know, to develop each other. Again, I really thank her for believing in this initiative. And then there's so many other partners, you know, you can see some of them here. The African Union have been instrumental, have been so, so helpful. And I want to just thank them for coming to share with us what is happening at the regional level and all the hard work that's going on at the African Union. There's just so much coming, so much innovation, you know, so much around youth, so much around women, everything, you know, it's being covered. CFTA, as you can tell, I'm very, very excited. You know, as we head towards the launch, you know, early part of next year. So very, very excited about that. And I thank you very much, all the members from the AU who came and helped to you know, push this conference. And then, of course, we had our international partners who led that great session earlier on. And I thank them as well. You know, some of them have been working crazy hours, jumping off, you know, the IMF where it was there. You know, we had people from the World Economic Forum. So we really had the international community also come together because they do see the importance of Africa and then Africa's position globally. So I thank them as well, the ICC and ICC we work with very closely. So thank you so much. And just to wrap up, all the media partners, everybody else, you know, DHL, everybody, FinTech, Nigeria, you know, Consensus, everybody was kind of present today, and I'm very, very grateful. I'm actually very, very emotional, but I don't want to kind of shed tears now. And the most for me, I think one of, you know, what gets me to tears, I guess, is also my team. I did ask for a slide to be put up of their faces, but maybe they're being a bit shy, I don't know. I would like to just emphasize and highlight a very special message for my team, because they have worked so hard. Honestly, they have had, you know, long nights. We've all had long nights, but they've not stopped pushing. They've not stopped pushing. And, you know, we've got to this point. When we started, we said, okay, you know, maybe we'll have about 100 people join the conference or so. We are very, very proud to say we sold out with 500 people on one platform. And then we haven't even counted those who joined through, you know, Twitter and Facebook and all the other live streamed lines that we had. So, you know, we've had way over, you know, 500. And for us, that's just unbelievable. So to thank all of you who came, to thank all of you who are supporting, you know, all the speakers, my goodness, you all just unbelievable. Every single panel, I think everyone on the panel was just amazing. And the drop in from Ton Vase was just like, whoa, okay, great. You know, very nice to have Ton there as well. And it's just phenomenal. I think the world, you can just clearly see how the world is passionate about Africa. And I just want to thank everybody. I will summarize now. I'm not getting the team's picture. They're being very cheeky, but I will get them next time, you know. So I just want to mention a couple of names, people who are behind the scenes, even right now. Sophia, you know, who is on the tech side and she's helping us out. You know, she's a real gem for all of us. Ashley, you heard from earlier on, Jordan, Alvin, Amy, you know, Arsenio, there's so many, Georgie and a whole range of others, Valentine, who works crazy hours and, you know, just delivers. So I'm so, so proud of my team. And finally, I want to thank my mentors. You know, my mentors have been they've really taken a lot for me for the last week, you know, where I've gone and I've been complaining, oh, I'm tired, I'm this and that. So I really want to thank my mentors, and I know some of them are watching. And just a special message to say thank you very much. And I'll just wrap it up. Thank you so much. And I don't know if Lee is around, if Lee wants to kind of say a few words himself, because he's been our host, I think, in Nigeria. But thank you, everyone. It's been a real pleasure. Maybe we have the results before everybody jumps off, guys, from the poll. Oh, wow. Look at that. Yes, I think we can just tell from the results, guys, before we all jump off. Do you want to hear about CBDC? Do you want to hear more? People say 100% yes. Did you enjoy the event? Again, 100% is just incredible, you know. Yes, just so many things. Sorry, I lost it there, Ashley. Maybe you want to jump in and give the other two results.
Thank you. So just to carry on with sharing the results, so Michelle has already highlighted that everybody seems to have thoroughly enjoyed themselves, which we're very grateful and happy to hear. On our last two polls, which was if we were to have more sessions on different topics, what would you sign up to? And it seems that overwhelmingly about 52% of you said you'd be interested in learning more about digital transformation and upscaling. And last but not least, our question, which is I think the most important one, was did you learn something new about the CBDC potential in Africa? And 100% of you who took part said, yes, you did. And I think that is our pride and joy. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks, Ashley. That's really helpful. And please, yeah, do stay safe, everybody. We might be facing a challenge, but wherever there's a challenge, there is definitely opportunity. You've heard it today. We are open for collaboration. I've shared some details in the chat. Or if you can't find us, please, you know, do reach out to us. We're all in social media, you know, and everybody kind of knows how to get hold of us. We are about collaboration at the Policy House. We love working with other people. And oh, sorry, before I forget, you know, this was an announcement that we wanted to make as a surprise. We are actually offering some capacity building programs for central banks and private sector institutions and governments, which are sponsored programs. Again, you know, please reach us at our email, info@thepolicyhouse.com. We're doing this in partnership with global partners, where we're coming and we want to train around a central bank digital currency to build capacity. We have a series of other global events that we are going to follow up with around CBDC and other areas. So please do keep in touch with us and we will inform you about those follow-on events. In terms of CBDC Africa, we will be rolling this across different regions. So again, it's a call out to you guys to say, where is going to be our next destination? You know, we have the South African conference coming up organized by Sonia Kohel as well, where we'll be doing some stuff there. And we have other exciting ones in different regions, but we obviously rely, you know, working on partnership with all those of you on the ground. So for those who are interested in partnering and doing something similar like this in another part of Africa, please do reach out to us and we'll be happy to chat and move that forward. Thank you so much and please stay safe.